We still have a choice today: nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. We must move past indecision to action. We do not act, we shall surely be dragged down the long, dark, and shameful corridors of time, reserved for those who possess power without compassion, might without morality, and strength without sight. Now let us begin.
October 7th, 2011 marks the 10th anniversary of America's global military response to the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. The U.S. invasion and occupation of Afghanistan, one of the poorest nations on earth, now represents the longest military conflict in American history. The costs of America's wars and occupations in the Middle East and elsewhere are staggering, both in terms of blood and treasure, as poverty and hopelessness at home expand exponentially. As President George W. Bush and his administration prepared for war in 2001, a group of religious leaders in Southern California set out on a different path. The Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace was founded to empower people of faith to take a stand against the moral poison of revenge and violence. Within a year, ICUJP played a vital role in organizing the rapid expansion of the anti-war movement, drawing millions of people to the streets across America in an unprecedented effort to preemptively stop a war before it actually happened. These demonstrations drew only scant and trivializing news coverage as mass media executives made the conscious decision to support Bush's march to an illegal war of aggression.
The problem is that for too long, we the people have allowed our elected officials and big business to direct us away from peace to war, away from brotherhood and sisterhood to chaos. So, we are here declaring that we will remain here and be here for the struggle until indeed we can point this country away from what it is doing to what it needs to do on behalf of all people. So I say to you, we must resist, but we must also organize our families, organize our friends, organize our congregations, organize our neighborhoods, teach them, help them to understand that this is the beginning of a protracted, nonviolent struggle until indeed we change governments as they are to make them what governments ought to be in America. That's our so, war and violence we must stop blessing. We must instead use our resources to bless one another and to bless truth and peace and wonder and the infinite possibilities of this century.
Going back to what religions have brought to the table, and we have an amazing opportunity because religions talk about confession, repentance, forgiveness, and mercy, where other secular society haven't been able to go. They've been able to move people as a moral compass. They've been able to advocate for human rights and empower the disenfranchised, serve as intermediaries, devoting themselves to peacemaking and bringing parties together. We educate by building. We bring together people like James Lawson, who sat through the civil rights era and helped people break it down to know what it meant to be nonviolent, that it wasn't a sign of weakness, and indeed it was a sign of great strength to be able to look at an oppressor straight in the eye and say no.
I'm Steve Rohde, the chair of Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace. On 9/11, the United States had a choice. It could take the path of upholding the rule of law, of instilling the freedoms on which this country is based, of bringing any criminals to justice who perpetrated those crimes. Or it could take a far darker path into war, occupation, the violation of human rights, torture, and the like. Unfortunately, it took that latter path. Anticipating that, a group of Jews and Christians and Muslims and Buddhists and others, came together right after 9/11. We were convened by the Reverend Dr. George Regas of All Saints Church in Pasadena.
ICUJP was formed in response to 9/11. We were troubled and profoundly saddened by the cries for retaliation. Yes, some response to that vicious attack was important, but not the devastation of war. We felt 9/11 demanded the work of justice. We disavowed the path that said our grief must lead to war. We refused to accept violence as the necessary consequence of our tragic loss. And over these 10 years, two positions have been dominant for ICUJP. One, religious communities must stop blessing war and violence. And two, recognizing the war system is deeply embedded in America. Nevertheless, we affirm our membership in one human family. And we have proclaimed over these 10 years that the sin, the evil of these wars in Afghanistan and Iraq is the belief that an American child is more precious and sacred than an Iraqi child. America's enormous resources of wealth and technology should be used for health and education and peacemaking, not for the wars of destruction in the building of an empire.
We have met for 500 Fridays for the last 10 years, organizing, educating, getting to know each other, understanding each other's faiths, understanding the common ground that brings us together, and working, toiling, struggling for a society far more dedicated to peace and justice. And it's been in the course of those 10 years that we've held demonstrations, civil disobedience, educational forums, programs, delegations to elected officials, simply trying to speak out, to speak truth to power, whoever is in power.
I'm with the Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace. My name is Ignacio Castuera, and I am the pastor of St. John's United Methodist Church in Watts.
It's our job to motivate people. It's our job to inspire them through our writings, through our work, through videos, through programs that appeal to people, that bring them out. I think when people are educated, when they are brought the facts, today a vast majority, upwards of 75% of the American people want to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan now. So on October 7th, the 10th anniversary of the invasion of Afghanistan, ICUJP will organize a major public witness in downtown Los Angeles, culminating in a rally and the exercise of civil disobedience by several courageous people. I think it is a turning point for us. It says that we are here for the long run, that we've been able to meet for those 500 Fridays, that we've sustained ourselves with a small budget and a small staff, but great spirit, great dedication, and great commitment to peace and justice.